Welcome back, everybody. I'm Stephen Levine from NASCAR Illustrated, sitting alongside Tom Vandervoort from Sporting News. We are going to preview this weekend's race at Kansas Speedway. It's going to be an interesting one because we've only had one event there, one Cup event, since the repave in the middle of last season.
Yeah, we've had a whole winter on the racetrack.
We have.
And that'll change it.
A Kansas winter.
Absolutely. That will change the racetrack. I think the real question becomes, how big is the groove? Has it widened out a lot?
Because in the fall, it was pretty much a one-groove race.
Yeah, and there were a lot of cautions in the fall. A lot of cautions. Guys were not used to the track. It was very fast, but still slick, if that makes any sense. Because Kansas, you know, it looks like Chicagoland, but just doesn't have the grip level that track has. So guys were losing control. I mean, we saw Jimmy Johnson try to pass, I think it was Truex maybe, and he lost control up against the wall, had to salvage a finish. There were a lot of cautions last year in this race. During a season where there were just not many cautions overall.
And I don't think we should expect anything vastly different in this race. Maybe the groove has widened out a little bit, but I still think
far fewer cautions.
I still think it's going to be a super fast race.
Sure, I think it will be, you know, a track position race.
It was a track position racetrack before the repave, and the repave has only exacerbated that quality. It's going to be about, as a matter of fact, I think 8 of 14 races have been won by somebody who started within the top 10.
Sure, and the thing of it is, you have to, as a race team, say to yourself, what is the best way? What are the things I need to master to get to the front, to pass other race cars? And when you look at it here, it's like, it's more pit strategy, pit stops, fuel mileage. It's more that and a little bit less, oh, I fixed that handling problem, now I can drive down underneath the guy in turn 2, because you might be faster than somebody else, but if you're not, you know, enough faster, you just get stuck because of the dirty air, and you just can't get enough grip when you get out of that one groove to get by them.
So looking for 2 tire stops, looking...
yeah, depending on tire wear. And looking for fuel mileage. I think you have to say it again, this race has been a fuel mileage race at times in the past.
Absolutely.
So that's something you got to keep your eye on here.
All right, well, we're going to come back with our picks with a special guest.
A special guest.
You know, we started this last week. It's going to be a weekly thing this season.
Which is great.
Where we have our special guest.
Very special.
Last week, none of us picked the right
right
driver.
One of us did have the highest finishing pick.
And we'll talk about that after this magical wipe. All right, we're back, and as promised, we have classed up the joint with Kim Kuhn, Miss Sprint Cup. And
what's with the green?
We didn't get to vote on this fire suit.
I know you didn't. Well, we're wearing green because April... There's Earth Day, so we're promoting phone recycling, as well as we have a buyback program where buy back your old cell phones. We just want to keep the phones out of the landfill. And in addition to, it's National Distracted Driving Awareness Month, so just encouraging people to focus on driving. So just a reminder, so we'll be donating this in Kansas this weekend.
Okay.
And it's like, we're going to Kansas, there's no place like home, Emerald City. It just all.
Oh my gosh!
Right?
Well, this is like so many levels.
But you should have on ruby sequined races.
Is there like any Hegel or Marx or anything involved in this?
Yeah.
What?
I'm talking about like philosophy. Like there's got to be some deeper level.
You just went way off into left field.
Yeah.
I guess
Hegel and Marx. Because all right, history major. Let's talk about Kansas because. You know, it's a pretty good track for Jimmy Johnson. It's a pretty good track for Greg Biffle. Matt Kenseth won there last year.
Last win for,
have you considered your pick? Because your compatriot last week, Brooke, God love her.
Yeah, God love her.
She went out on a limb.
And we do too.
It was a really, really long limb with her Ricky
Stenhouse
and it
kind of broke.
Jr.
pick. The limb kind of broke.
I don't know if it was the cowboy hat he wears or the belt buckle or Texas.
Can be distracting.
Mine's not on a limb, but I feel like it's a safe pick. I feel like I'm going to get flack for it.
Oh,
I don't think so.
You're going to get flack for whoever you pick.
So there's only 2 drivers that have an average finish better than 10 out of the current drivers. That's Brad Kay and Jimmy Johnson. And then in addition to that, Hendrick has had 4 wins at Kansas.
Yep, including the first 2 by Jeff Gordon.
Right, and then the other 2 by Jimmy Johnson. The most, I think they're tied with one other shop.
Are you telling us you're going with Jimmy?
So I'm going with Jimmy.
Hey, you know what?
Going with Jimmy.
We got a saying around here, which is the obvious pick is not necessarily a bad idea. I do it all the time.
Okay.
So I'm not giving you grief.
I don't know if it's obvious, but it's definitely a solid safe
It is a
pick.
solid pick.
There's nothing wrong. Look, if you're under the basket with the ball, just shoot the layup.
There you go.
You know, you don't have to get
Jimmy
fancy.
Johnson's going to be a solid pick anywhere but perhaps Sonoma and Watkins Glen.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And he's won at Sonoma anyway.
Yeah. But, you know. Even a blind squirrel can find a nut. Now, are you going to go
saying
next?
Jimmy's a blind
When
squirrel?
it comes to Sonoma, are you going to go next or am I going to go next?
Well, I guess I am. Because, I mean, the guy I
Because you
like,
know who I want to pick.
Yeah, and
you're going to pick him, aren't you?
Of course. Look, Martin Truex Jr. was second in both races here last year, and he was second last week at Texas with a dominant car, got beat out of the pits by the pole sitter, which happens. I think you got to feel good about the 56 car.
I think so.
Second Cup win. If he wins this race now, and whenever he wins this next race, assuming that he does, it'll be the longest stretch between wins, between 2 wins for anybody ever in the Sprint Cup Series.
Ever.
So I think we're going to see history.
Want a history-making weekend.
Yes, ma'am.
And I think it's a great pick. I was going to pick him. And, of course, if he wins this race, he doesn't have to rely on the fan vote to get into the Sprint Cup All-Star race.
Good point.
Right. Very good point.
So,
Always thinking about the Sprint All-Star race, aren't you?
when I have Kim here, it just sort of naturally, there's this energy.
In the green
Well, if he
suit.
doesn't win, they can still vote.
They can. But, of
can.
course, well, never mind.
So Martin Truex Jr. is off the table, and that was going to be my pick. So
well, hurry
then
up. We don't have all day.
Oh, wait, did anybody rush you?
No, but I didn't go last.
I guess then I will go with Greg Biffle. You know, this is a Roush Fenway-style track. Greg has been strong at times this season, maybe not as consistent as...
He was 4th last week,
as
right?
we'd like to see, but
That's
you
not
know...
who I thought you were going to go with.
Who do you think I was
I
going
thought
to
you were
go
going to go with Clint Boyer.
No, just because
of the Kansas connection.
The Kansas connection. He really wants to get a win
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
You know who surprisingly struggles here, though? Kyle Busch struggles at this track. He's not very good
That's
here.
okay. I'm 2 for 2 with Kyle in victory lane, so I can't say I want to see him in victory lane.
Okay.
All right, I'm going with Greg Biffle.
So tired of seeing Kyle in victory.
Martin Truex Jr., Jimmy Johnson. Here are the standings as they run now, because Tom picked Casey Kane last week.
Who was the highest finisher?
He was the highest finisher of the
Solid
3.
choice. I was thinking about doing it
He's
again
there.
this week.
I picked Dale Earnhardt Jr. He was the 2nd highest finisher, so I'm currently in 2nd.
And the Miss Sprint Cup representative, who shall remain nameless,
Don't look at me.
Brooke, picked Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
Thanks for watching, everybody, and thank you, Kim, for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.